Getty. Jacob Rees-Mogg has branded Philip Hammonds' priorities as perverseThe, newly appointed leader of a group of a 60-strong group of eurosceptic Tory MPs is intent on ensuring that Theresa May delivers the Brexit that the public voted for, and he went straight on the attack, branding the Chancellor's priorities perverse and accused him of being jealous of Boris Johnson's charisma. He said Mr. Hammond's Treasury is a bruised institution still struggling to come to terms with the result of the EU referendum. Mr. Hammond attracted a furious backlash last week by suggesting, during a speech in Davos, that Britain will only make very modest changes to its relationship with the European Union after Brexit. The Chancellor ought to support government policy. That's his job. Jacob Rees-Mogg. Furious Mr. Rees-Mogg said of course he is wrong. High alignment denies us Brexit. It is about obstructing Brexit. It is essentially code for saying I don't want to leave the EU. I never did and I don't think him wrong. It's thwarting Brexit. That is the aim, to thwart Brexit. You simply end up being tied into the EU's rules without even having a commissioner, MEPs, attending the council, or ministers, or a judge on the European Court of Justice. With high alignment you are actually a vassal state. It's not what people voted for, nor is it where the opportunity is the people who want it, the corporatists, the fat cats. It's why the CBI wants it. Asked about Mr. Hammond's intervention in Davos, Mr. Rees-Mogg added, the dangers of the lack of oxygen and high altitude of Davos means people forget the manifesto and their obligations of collective responsibility. The Chancellor ought to support government policy. That's his job. Mr. Rees-Mogg's intervention comes at a critical juncture as the Prime Minister and her cabinet debate the shape of a transition period after Brexit and the future of Britain's relationship with the European Union. There are significant splits in cabinet between those like Mr. Hammond and Home Secretary Amber Rudd and eurosceptics like Michael Gove and Mr. Johnson. Eurosceptics are increasingly concerned about the risk of a status quo transition period after Britain leaves the European Union in March 2019. Getty. Jacob Rees-Mogg said the Chancellor was trying to thwart Brexit. Mr. Rees-Mogg is adamant that if Britain is still subject to the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice, has to accept new laws and has to pay into the EU's budget, it will represent a betrayal of Brexit. He said it would be I like to say we have left under those circumstances the negotiations going on now about what the implementation transition means. A very important status quo transition would be a failure of negotiations. It would be a sign of weakness. We would not be getting the Brexit people voted for. Sunday, July 9, 2017. Jacob Rees-Mogg visits the new Bag Puss pop-up shop at Whiteley's shopping centre. Mr. Rees-Mogg said both Brexit and the Conservative Party are more important than the Prime Minister's leadership and warns that Britain risks heading for Brino. Brexit in name only. He said, the less of Brexit you get, the more likely you are to get Jeremy Corbyn. If you get a good, clean Brexit and get the advantages from it, then the chances of getting Jeremy Corbyn are much diminished. If everything is delayed for 2 years and then there's high alignment, you will find that by 2022 no one will have noticed any difference from having left. Then what will be the point of voting for the party that's implemented it? Him against Brino.